On the 9th of September 2023, the London Transport Museum organised a special service operated by the vintage 1938 tube stock. Nicknamed the Amersham Special, this old train ran 4 services. The first 3 ran from Amersham to Watford and back over the rarely used North Curve, which connects Rickmansworth to the Watford branch. Only 3 Metropolitan line trains use it a day, and it's not displayed on the tube map at all. The 4th service was the one that I got on, which ran from Amersham to Harrow-on-the-Hill. My train departed at 5:18 p.m, but before departure, a stall was set up on the platform at Amersham, run by the Transport Museum, which sold all kinds of vintage items, from old carriage maps to photographs of old trains. I must say, for an 85-year-old train, it operates surprisingly well, although in some areas this train's age is really showing. However, not only the doors are a sign of this train's old age. The interior of this train includes these very old grab handles, these no smoking signs, this old cab design, this London Transport logo, these old adverts that were preserved from, I'm assuming, the 80s, these old Northern Line carriage maps, which include a number of old features, including embankment stations still being called Strand, and the Northern City Line being included in the map, back when it was still part of the Northern Line. And, most notably of all, the guard panels in the end carriages. When the 1938 stock was still in service on the Underground, it was operated with guards on board, who operated the doors and made announcements to the passengers. Ironically, back then, there was no PA system on these trains, so in order to make announcements, the guard would have to walk through the whole train and tell the passengers in person, in each carriage. A guard was on board our train in order to operate the doors, but sadly no announcements had to be made. It was interesting to see how the guard's door could still be opened while the train was in motion, something we never get to see on the tube nowadays. I mean, we never get to see guards on the tube in the first place. Driver-only operation was favoured across the whole tube network when the 38 stock went out of service in 1988. This train had a long life before its retirement on the Underground, being used on the Northern, Central, Piccadilly, Bakerloo and even the East London line at one point. These trains were built between 1937 and 1940 and were the first of their kind, with the electrical equipment being installed under the train, which maximised room for passengers. Prior to the 38 stock's introduction to London Transport, the most modern train at the time, the standard stock, had their end carriages comprising a massive motor section which took up almost half of the carriage. The 1938 stock was such a good train that it ran for 50 years on the tube network before being withdrawn from service. However, that wasn't the end, as Network South East bought 10 of these trains in the same year to be used on the Island Line on the Isle of Wight to replace the old Class 486s, which ironically were originally the standard stock that was operated on the Underground. The 38 stock was renamed to the Class 483, and from 1989 to as recently as 2021, they operated on the Isle of Wight with no issues. Finally, after 83 years of service, the Class 483 was withdrawn from the Island Line in 2021 to be replaced by the Class 484, which again is an old tube train, this time the D stock from the District Line, that has been converted into a national rail train. At the time of withdrawal, the 1938 stock, or the Class 483, was the oldest train in the entirety of the UK to still be in operation. It is impossible to talk about the 1938 stock without talking about the Moorgate tube crash, which involved this train. This was an accident that took place on the 28th of February 1975 at Moorgate Station on the Northern City Line. A 1938 stock train was approaching the buffers at the end of the platform as it pulled in, but it did not stop. It ploughed into the buffers at a speed of over 30 miles per hour. This collision completely crushed the first 2 carriages and damaged the remaining ones. The crash killed 43 people and injured 74, and the crash, 48 years later, still remains the worst crash in the history of the London Underground. It was so significant that the system that was introduced to help prevent trains overrunning termini stations was called the Moorgate Protection. This was the only incident that involved the 1938 stock train. It's genuinely impressive how long these trains have lasted. Considering the fact that the average lifespan of a train is around 30 to 40 years, the 1938 stock being able to last 83 years in service is just astounding. Technically, the trains have lasted even longer than that, as the preserved unit is still running today. Overall, it was a great experience being able to ride on a piece of London Underground history. I hope you enjoyed watching this video. If you did enjoy, then please like this video and subscribe to my channel for more content like this. I'm sorry about the 7-month silence on my channel. I will start making more content very soon. I do have a bunch of videos lined up, so expect those in the near future. As always, thanks for watching.